Is rewriting software a giant career-ending mistake? After a rewrite cost me one of my first clients 30 years ago, I used to think it was. But after studying over a dozen rewrite projects, I found two critical factors for success. The first one I learned the hard way. I just started freelancing and a client asked me to help with their image sharing portal. I was young, pretty naive, and full of confidence. So when I opened up the code base, I didn't hold back my opinion. I told them the system was garbage and that I needed to rewrite it first. After some convincing, they agreed. You can probably guess where this is going. It was a complete disaster. I tried to build it the right way. Each element on screen had its own PHP file, and they were neatly separated in the front end into their own iframes. By now it sounds like an obviously flawed idea, but at the time I thought it was genius. Very soon it was clear that the system was falling apart at the seams. Not even the handful of features I had implemented worked correctly, and I wasn't even close to done yet. During that fateful demo when I tried to upload an image, the system crashed and the iframes all went blank. After 2 weeks of frantic coding, I was showing off an empty page to my client. Now, I want you to imagine something. Imagine you were that client. Here's a 25-year-old arrogant kid telling you that your system, the one that's making you millions, is a pile of junk. And instead of focusing on the real issues you need fixed right now, I'm obsessed with my own made-up problems, like creating the system for building independent modules. How would you feel? You'd be furious, right? Unsurprisingly, they decided not to move forward with the project. It was supposed to pay my rent for the next month. And for the first time in my adult life, I had to pack my bags and move back in with my parents. It was humiliating. Did you ever have a similar experience? What did you learn from it? I'd love to hear your story. What I learned from that failure was this. A rewrite must address an actual business need. Cleaner code is not a business need. A shiny new stack is not a business need. Saving the company from going extinct, that's a business need. And going extinct was a very real prospect for Prezi in the 2010s, and they badly needed a rewrite. You see, their entire presentation software was built on Adobe Flash. When it was announced that Flash was being discontinued, they were doomed. Soon it started disappearing from corporate devices, and Prezi's core market was at risk. So they did what seemed logical. They tried to rewrite the exact same system in HTML5 and JavaScript. They failed. Not once, not twice, but several times. It seemed impossible to recreate the features they had. At one point, they even compiled C code into JavaScript to replicate Flash's font rendering, and it still didn't work. The engineering team put up a heroic fight. They were stuck in a Big Bang rewrite, waiting for a perfect replacement that was never going to come. Then a new manager realized they had to change their approach entirely. Instead of trying to replace the old system, Prezi designed a new, simpler product targeted specifically at business users who no longer had access to Flash on their corporate machines. It wasn't compatible with the old Prezi and it had fewer features, but it solved a burning problem for a valuable customer segment. And it worked. Prezi next started recovering customers. From that small success, they could incrementally add features and grow. They also gave up on replicating the old system. Instead, they decided to learn from the mistakes and build a better product. Eventually, the Flash-based Prezi Classic was retired in 2020. By then, the new one was simply better. And this is the second lesson. You must find a way to deliver value incrementally. Once they shifted from trying to replace the entire system to focusing on incremental value for the customer segment they were about to lose, things turned around for them. So here's the exact framework I use when my clients ask me if they should rewrite their systems. Imagine a 2x2 grid. The vertical axis answers the question, does the project have business value? The horizontal axis answers, can this be delivered incrementally, or does it have to be a Big Bang release? This gives us 4 quadrants, and figuring out where your project lands is the key. The quadrant on the top left is the success zone. This is where you want to be, and that is the strategy that saved Prezi. They identified a high-value problem, saving their business user segment, and found a way to deliver a solution in small incremental pieces. This creates a positive feedback loop. You ship something, the business sees immediate value, and they get excited to fund the next step. If your project is here, go for it. The top right corner is the high stakes gamble. This is where Prezi started, and it nearly destroyed them. It's a project with a huge payoff, but it is all or nothing. This is the bet the company move that was partially to blame for Netscape going bankrupt. While Microsoft's bundling of Internet Explorer with every copy of Windows had a role in Netscape's demise, it was far from the only factor. At the height of the browser wars, Netscape was struggling with the tangled code base, and Microsoft Internet Explorer was challenging their dominance. After releasing version 4.0, they decided to start from scratch. During the next 3 years, Netscape didn't release any new versions, while Internet Explorer achieved feature parity. Netscape, a household name in the 90s, lost its moat and almost its entire user base. The good news is that all projects that start as a high-stakes gamble can actually be moved into the success zone. The one corner to stay away from is the bottom right. This is the danger zone where my image sharing portal project fell. It had no clear immediate business value, and I was attempting an all or nothing replacement. These projects are always doomed. They burn time, money, and morale for no reason. If you see a project like this, kill it before it starts. But that leaves us with the bottom left quadrant. What if the changes are incremental but don't have a huge obvious business value? Can that be successful? Well, it can work, but I'll explain in a minute why this is so much harder to get right. In a wonderful talk at Craft Conference 2022, Kristen Vestaine explained how they broke up their Monolith into Shopify by gamifying the process. They set up a friendly competition between teams to see who could get rid of the domain boundary violations first. They built a simple scoring system they called Wedge, which measured the number of boundary violations per team, and they put the dashboard on display in their cafeteria. The teams were eager to climb the leaderboard, so they found incremental ways to refactor while still building new features. So what's the catch? It's a much slower process. If during that time the company has financial difficulties, management can easily start seeing it as a distraction. And once that happens, it is very likely that the project will be abandoned. So before you ever say, let's rewrite it again, pull out this map and ask yourself, does this deliver real measurable value? And can we deliver that value incrementally? By answering these two questions honestly, you can turn a career-ending gamble into a career-defining win. But if the answer is no, you still don't need to give up. In the next video, I will walk through several case studies where we turned doomed rewrites into incremental wins, including the exact techniques we used to slice a monolithic system into independent modules. See you over there.